Hey there, welcome back to True North Reviews. My name is Ryan, and today we're reviewing the fifth studio album from the southern hip-hop artist Yelawolf. This one is entitled Trunk Muzik III. For some context, Michael Wayne Atha, also known as Yelawolf, this guy is a southern hip-hop artist. He has signed on to Shady Records. You know, the real Slim Shady, Marshall Mathers, Eminem. And to this point, Yelawolf has built up quite a bit of music under his belt in his discography. He's released 5 studio albums, including this one that I'm reviewing today. He's released a compilation album, 3 solo EPs, 4 collaborative EPs, and 7 mixtapes. So he definitely has a lot of material out there, which can be quite daunting to think about where to begin. But just as an overall kind of summary of his sound, you can expect a lot of southern influence, you can expect the turntable scratching, and you can also expect nasally singing. So if that isn't really your cup of tea, then I don't really see this project being something worthwhile in checking out. Now, for my personal experience with Yelawolf, I first heard him on the collaborative song with Kid Rock. This one came out in 2011. It's called Let's Roll. And believe it or not, I checked out the collaborative EP with Ed Sheeran, and let me tell you, that's a weird meshing of styles. That one came out in 2012, but then fast forwarding to 2015, he put out his project Love Story, and in my eyes, I would see this as his magnum opus. A lot of fans wouldn't say so. They would see more of his Trunk Muzik releases as his magnum opus. But on the record Love Story, we get a Eminem feature where basically Yelawolf gets shown up on his own album. I still like the song a lot, and I feel like Yelawolf has a lot to showcase on the rest of the tracks on here. It's a very consistent and coherent album. And then in 2017, Yelawolf put out his own self-produced record, Trial by Fire, and that one I found to be just a mess overall and just very forgettable. And now we're back on track in 2019 as Yelawolf has teamed up with his longtime producer. His name is Will Power. It's spelled very weirdly, but his real name is William Washington. So despite the spotty discography, in my opinion, I feel like Yelawolf still has a great ability of telling a story whenever he wants to. And on this release, he is making another entry into his Trunk Muzik kind of catalog. Kind of like what the Carter series is to Lil Wayne, but a lot less hype, because Yelawolf does not have the reputation and as much influence as someone like Lil Wayne. Speeding ahead to early 2019, and we get Yelawolf dropping a diss track about Post Malone, among other rappers. Basically, Yelawolf thinks that he's so influential that all the fans that Post Malone has are just a drop from his tree. This freestyle track caught a lot of media buzz. Not as much as the beef between MGK and Eminem last year, but I mean, that makes sense because no one's really on the level of influence as Eminem, coming out of the era of rappers that he was competing against, including Jay-Z, Dre, and I mean, all that Yelawolf has himself to compare to would be like Big Crit. And I feel like Big Crit easily has the upper hand on Yelawolf, at least in the past few years. He's been putting out a lot more interesting material, in my opinion. Speaking about this Trunk Muzik III release, it kicks off with the track called TM3. This one's full of heavy 808s. We get the turntable scratches I was referring to in my summary of what you can expect for the sound of Yelawolf. The interesting part about these turntable scratches, though, is that they alternate between the left and right channels. On the next track, Catfish Billy 2, I just want to point out a very funny one-liner on here, and it's just saying that your long hair can't cover up your redneck. I found that quite hysterical. On the track Rowdy, I feel like this is one of those songs that has a bit of a beat fetish, and what I mean by that really is what it sounds like. It's just all of the fascination is on the beat, and then there's no substance to the lyrics or the flow. And I feel like in the rap scene, this has definitely become a prominent kind of feature to songs. And a lot of the time we find rappers just using the same standard triplet flow. And man, this is the track with the Machine Gun Kelly feature on here, which is quite interesting that we see Yelawolf teaming up with him, knowing that MGK had the diss track against Eminem last year. It's like now our Yelawolf and Eminem dissing, and man, they're under the same record label, so like I just feel like That's another thing to throw into the mix that just doesn't sit well. On the track Special Kind of Bad, this one has a lot of compressed vocals that are mixed in a horrendous fashion. The grimy beat and marching snare hits are also a weird meshing of styles on here. The guitars give me a lukewarm reaction. It's kind of like just throwing in the guitars just for the sake of throwing them in to make it feel like it's southern kind of rock. On the track Like I Love You, I feel like this one has the most grotesque presentation of vocals. We get spiraling back and forth left and right channels of very bad singing from Yelawolf, almost vomit inducing, I would say. And I don't know how much worse you could get after we had the new Logic album that came out last month, but I think this song could easily go toe-to-toe with that. We get a nice rebound with the track Drugs. This is one of my favorites on here. It's a track that assembles the best of Yelawolf's songwriting. He has his best singing on here. He has his most creative lyrics with the storytelling. We get crisp production. We get a catchy pop quality to it. Reminds me of some of the pop-leaning songs on Love Story, even though this kind of music you wouldn't really hear in mainstream radio at any time. On the track Drugs, I really dig the vocoder kind of backup vocals. It sounds like they're being fed through that kind of effect, and it gives it more of like a Daft Punk kind of influence, which I find very captivating. Coming back to back with Drugs, we get another infectious song on here. It's called Trailer Park Hollywood. The double-tracked vocals on here really just drive home the fact that Yelawolf isn't really the greatest of singers. He's pretty one-dimensional. He's got that nasally timbre that he needs that extra boost from being double-tracked or having different vocal modulations. Definitely not the most versatile singers. He's no Ariana Grande for sure. But hey, this is rap, so we gotta cut him some slack there. However, Yelawolf is basically begging for a bit more criticism on the track, as he says that hip-hop is his lane and rock and roll is his attitude. So I feel like the attitude of rock and roll is just not really there if his singing is only this good. I mean, when you think of the greatest rock and roll bands of all time, you think of your Led Zeppelins, your AC/DCs. Those bands have a very powerful vocalist. Nonetheless, the chorus on Trailer Park Hollywood is quite infectious. Moving on from there, we get the song No Such Thing as Free, and this one has the ugliest kind of meshing of styles you could possibly think of. Take like the sitar from the Revolver era of the Beatles, and then pair that with the shouty, ad-libbed vocals from the track Galchester by Drake. And then you get this horrendous mess of a Yelawolf song that is pretty derivative. There's really nothing original to it. And I don't care how quick Yelawolf is rapping in the outro. That's also derivative because I feel like he's just trying to sound like Eminem. On the track We Slum, we get a Shoddy Fat vocal feature on here. He worked with Yelawolf on his 2011 record Radioactive. The generic trap beat kind of just ruins the song for me. It's a little underwhelming. Box Chevy 6 is the 6th entry into the Box Chevy series. The bars dropped by Ritz are quite funny, easily the most memorable and the most vivid in the imagery on the track. Pimp C's sample also feels justified, and it's just a fun little song. Then we get the track All the Way Up, which I feel like I'm having a flashback to All the Way Up by Fat Joe. Cook Up bass sounds like Rick Ross on here. Again, we're lacking a bit of originality. And the guitar is sprinkled in here just to give it that southern rock influence like the Kid Rock, but I just feel like it's a little out of place. And then the next couple tracks, they do hit a bit of a high here. I just feel like this last half of the record is just very up and down in its quality. On the track Over Again, we get a very claustrophobic vocal mixing that's pushed up against this very spacey and lush production. It's pretty captivating. The chorus is catchy. The track just feels like one of those guilty pleasure songs because it sounds a little petty in the lyrics. And then the song Addiction is another one of my favorites on here. It's got some groovy bass. We get some samples of drums that are the closest that we can get to real drums on here. Elsewhere, the piano tone is rich and vibrant. Not the dullest that I've heard from Yelawolf. And the thrown in guitar licks they feel spontaneous. They're improvised to a point that it feels very organic. And then closing out this album, we get the song Over Here. And the thing with this one, I feel like it's the most bleh that you'll get on the project. Like, it's just there, it just exists. It's not outright hideous or really amazing. It's just that most of the time this album is moving back and forth between something that is unoriginal, sometimes captivating, and then sometimes bleh. So I just feel like we get a very mixed bag here. So take this track over here, take it with the song Drugs, and it will give you like this picture perfect idea of what you can expect for this album. So with all that being said, I'm feeling a 5 out of 10, very much a mixed bag as I was saying. Tell me what you thought of this new Yelawolf release, sound off down below in the comments, leave a like if you liked today's video, subscribe if you're new in town, tell me what I should review next. Thanks for watching, and as always, have a rockin' day.